Today we are gonna do something fun. And by fun, I mean we're gonna rate some of the most popular designer fragrances for men. Now, without further ado, let us get started. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Valencia, and today I would like to do a rating video of some of the most popular designer fragrances for men. And I want to show you some of my favorites as well in the end. So make sure that you are watching this video until the end so you'll know what kind of fragrances I like the best of men. Now, a little bit disclaimer as well. Fragrances is a matter of preference. So if I dislike any of these fragrances that you happen to like, then please don't be angry with me, because obviously I have a different taste than yours and everyone's preferences on perfume might be different. This is just my personal opinion and this is what I like on men's fragrances. This is also my first video in English. I usually do video in Bahasa Indonesia, and on these videos I do add English subtitles, so if you want to check them out you can just activate the CC to get the English subtitles so you'll understand what I'm saying. So first we're gonna start from the blue fragrances just so that we can end this video on a positive note. The first one that I'm going to try is Versace Dylan Blue. To my nose, Versace Dylan Blue is opened up by a strong blast of citrus, but then it slowly develops into that clean after shower kind of fragrance, and it is one of those fragrances that contains ambroxan. Now, ambroxan tends to give that clean feeling to a fragrance, and in this fragrance it definitely does. On the dry down, you'll get a little bit of woodiness that makes this fragrance a little bit more complex, but it's still pretty generic to my nose. And I would say this isn't exactly my favorite out of the blue fragrances, so if I can give this a rating, I would give it the rating of 7 out of 10, just because it's not my favorite, but it is still a good fragrance, and if you want to check it out, you can totally do so. So the next fragrance we'll talk about is one that I already know I do not like, and that is Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Eau Intense for Men. Now, the reason why I do not like this fragrance at all is not because of the opening. The opening is actually pretty good. It opens up with a brief passing citrus scent that is stronger than any of the blue fragrances that I have. The citrus opening is very strong, but the reason why I do not like this is because after that citrus is gone, it's replaced by this weird, fishy, aquatic kind of scent. Now in the fragrance, it is said that they contain seawater note. Maybe that is the reason why this smells so fishy, but I really cannot stand the sea note in this fragrance. Now there are some aquatic fragrances, say like Creed Millésima Imperial, that does have that aquatic salty note, but it's not as terrible as the one in this. In this one it just smells like fish. Now while I do like going to the ocean and smelling like the sea breeze and everything, I don't want to smell like this, and I certainly do not want my man to smell like this as well, which is why I really do not recommend this fragrance even on summer, because personally I do not think this is a good blue or summer aquatic fragrance. There are better options out there, and if I can rate this, I would say I would rate this a 5 out of 10. And if you like this fragrance, then I'm sorry, but I really do not like this. The next fragrance we'll talk about is a very popular one, and I know that for a few years this was like the best-selling fragrance in the United States, and that is Acqua di Profumo by Giorgio Armani. Now this fragrance is also opened up by citrus, but it also contains other notes. To my nose, it smells a little bit spicy in the opening, and then later on it develops into this aqua fragrance, but it still has that depth and complexity, which I find really interesting. Now while this fragrance still has that aquatic feel to it, it also has some woodiness in the base, which gives this fragrance more of a complexity and life. So it's not as generic or boring, although I've smelled this before on men, and I do like how it smells on men. Now I especially like the dry down of Acqua di Profumo. I find it really classy and elegant and comforting at the same time. So if I can give this fragrance a rating, I would rate it a solid 8 out of 10, just because while it's still a good fragrance, it's also easy to reach. So it's an 8 out of 10 for me. The next fragrance I will talk about is one that I know almost everyone like, which is the ever so famous Dior Savage. Now I have the EDT version. I think everyone already know this, but Dior Savage is like the ultimate clean, out of the shower, unbroken-fied kind of fragrance. It is soapy from the beginning until the end, but it has that freshness that makes this fragrance really mass appealing. Personally, this isn't exactly my favorite blue fragrance because I obviously like Acqua better. But for a blue fragrance, it isn't bad, and it does have that similar vibe to Dylan Blue, but it is more clean and more soapy, and I do prefer this one over that one. I'm gonna give this fragrance a solid 7.5 out of 10 just because it isn't exactly my favorite, but it is still a very good mass appealing fragrance that I feel like nowadays everyone already know what it smells like, so I don't need to explain this further. We'll just move on to the next fragrance. That was the last of the blue fragrance. Now we'll move into something more unique. The next fragrance I'm gonna talk about is Laliga. I've sprayed it before, and to my nose, this smells like vetiver. It's like that mix of cypress and vetiver, and this really reminds me of like a deep, dark forest, and it's a little bit mossy, a little bit wet. It's dark and mysterious. To my nose, this smells really masculine, and I feel like on the right man, this is gonna smell really sexy. Well, I don't think this is for everyone. I do think that if you enjoy this kind of like aromatic, dark, foresty fragrance, you're gonna really like this. It's very heavy on the vetiver, so that's something you want to think about. Now, the longevity on this sucks, but for the price, it cannot go wrong because you can just like respray this. I do think this is a really good fragrance. It's very unique, but this is not like the best out there, so I'm just gonna rate it a 7 or a 7.5 out of 10. So the next fragrance I'm gonna talk about is one that I know I like, which is Giorgio Armani Code Profumo. Now this is a boozy heaven because it opens up straight up boozy, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of a beer or a whiskey, but in a good way. I do pick up a little bit of a chocolate note in this. I don't know if that's a real note in this fragrance or not, but I do pick up a little bit of chocolate, and it just has that slight gourmand feel, but it's not exactly gourmand, which makes me like this fragrance. And in the dry down, you'll get a really nice tonka/vanilla note, which gives this fragrance its warmth, and I really like how this smells on a man because in my head, a man that smells like this is very classy, he's elegant, he knows how to dress up, he's a little bit charismatic, but he also knows how to have fun, which is exactly my kind of man. So I really like this fragrance. If I can give this a rating, I'm gonna rate it an 8.5 out of 10 because I like this, it's my kind of fragrance, I want to smell this on a man, and it actually lasts a really good time. So the next fragrance we'll talk about is one that I like, which is Bulgari Men in Black. I sprayed it earlier, and the opening really opens up with a blast of spices, and then you also get a little bit of tobacco in here, which on the skin, you gotta apply it on the skin. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Harriet from Parfums de Marly, but it's not the same. It's just like a vibe that it has. And then on the dry down, you'll get a little bit of that leather, which makes this fragrance kind of sexy. And I do think that this fragrance is one of those gentleman type of fragrance. To be honest, if you just like spray this on a paper like this, you're not gonna get the full effect of this fragrance. You gotta apply it on skin or on your clothes in order to enjoy the whole experience. And this fragrance is one that, in my opinion, in my experience, it does develop a bit, so you do get a little bit of complexity in here. This is a nice gentleman type of fragrance, which I like. So if I can give this a rating, I'm gonna rate it an 8.5 out of 10, but I also want to rate it a 9. So I'm gonna rate it an 8.5/9 out of 10. Okay, that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, if you like it, to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and activate the notification bell so you'll be notified when I do upload new video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.